Hello and welcome to Take Six. This is streaming executive producer Thomas Mates in for Julie Broughton. She is out on a shoot today, so you are stuck with.
So just to give you a little heads up, I can't hear you. My headphones just went out. So I know that you're wanting to talk about tropics with me though. So we can get
Can you hear
into it.
me now?
Oh, now I can hear you.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
my mic went out, and I had no way of knowing that until you told me.
Oh, well,
Well,
now
I
you know.
did, but I
Look at
didn't see
me.
it.
Look
Look,
at
yeah,
me doing you a big favor over
you
here.
are doing me a big favor. Everyone missed my very silly intro, and they're
That's
worse off
okay.
for
You want to
it.
do it again? We can do a redo. We could do a redo. I
You
mean,
know what?
this is what teamwork is. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yes. Well, the long and short of it is September, and we are nearing the peak of hurricane season. And
Yes.
as we near the peak of hurricane season, we have three blobs out in the tropics that we are following. My highly technical term of blobs. Um,
I mean, that's what we call them. We're
yeah.
blob number one, two, and three. It's very technical.
Yeah. I mean, it's we gotta keep it simple for the layman's like myself. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Samara. What is all of this? What are we looking at? What's causing it? Obviously, the weather is causing it, but please explain it in more technical terms than what I'm offering.
Basically, these blobs, as we like to call them, they're actually tropical waves. So what we start to see are these waves rolling off the African coast, and then when they make their trip across the tropical Atlantic, they usually hit some sort of favorable environment where you can actually start to see some gradual progression in development. So that's basically what we're looking at right here. So we have three areas that we're watching, and usually around this time of year, this is when we start to see the tropics pick up a bit, and it continues all the way up to the peak of hurricane season, which is September 10th, and then it'll continue to be elevated all the way through even October. Uh, and then we'll start to see a decline as we get closer to the end of hurricane season, which is the end of November. So we're looking at these three blobs, one of them right over the Hispaniola at the moment, and basically it's going to continue a west to northwest track, possibly going over the Yucatan and going into the Bay of Campeche. Now, that particular system could take on that gradual development. That's over the next 7 days. So, we're talking about possibly seeing a tropical depression as it heads into the bay, where that really warm water and favorable environment is with low shear. So, they're saying that we could possibly see a tropical depression. So, they're giving it a National Hurricane Center is giving it a 40% chance of taking on that development. Meanwhile, right smack dab in the middle between Africa and the Lesser Antilles, you see this area highlighted has a 10% chance. It doesn't look too favorable for development, but still something that we're going to continue to watch. And then behind that, we have tropical wave number three behind door number three, right? And that particular wave has a 10% chance of taking on some development over the next 2 days, but within the National Hurricane Center has bumped it up to 40% over the next 7 days. So it'll definitely continue to be something that we watch. Hopefully, that one stays out over open water in what we call a fish storm. So that's a look at the tropics as a whole, but here is a look at the setup here in Florida. So what we have is we have this stationary boundary. That is going to be our focal point. You notice all of the green all across the deep south and Gulf Coast states. Well, that is all the moisture being streamed in, deep tropical moisture being streamed in. And basically what this front is going to do, not only is it providing its own little moisture, right, but we also have this built up moisture that has moved in from the southeast, courtesy of that southeast flow over the last few days. And basically it's going to be kind of trapped. And so what we're looking at are some heavy downpours associated with all of this moisture in our atmosphere. And you may have also noticed that it just really feels extra tropical outside. And it does. I mean, a heat index is going to be anywhere between about 100 and 105 for the next several days. So looking at the live radar as of right now, I almost said tonight because that's typically when I'm on air. but it is 12:35. So this afternoon, we see those isolated showers starting to pop up there along the coast. Notice that there are some red and oranges there, and that indicates those downpours that we mentioned. So we can't rule out maybe some nuisance flooding as these storms kind of fire up the rest of the day and spread out as they move across the interior. So we get the peak heating, get the air is really unstable, and then we get outflow boundaries, which kind of fuel the progression of all of these thunderstorms that we're seeing here on this particular model run. Now, I know that the model isn't showing a whole bunch of red like it has been the last couple of days, but that doesn't mean that we won't see some very heavy rain falling from these storms that do fire up. So anywhere between about 1 to 2 inches of rainfall can accumulate fairly quickly in these storms. And we could also have some lightning all the way through about 5 or 6, maybe even 7 o'clock this evening. Some lightning and even some strong wind gusts up near 35, maybe 40 miles per hour. It looks like by about 8 or 9 o'clock, everything starts to wind down. So get time to that sunset time, and that's where we start to lose your daytime heating. So we're losing a lot of the fuel that those storms need to keep going. And we'll just be left primarily with a little bit of light rain making its way across the western half of our area, which is western Marion, western Sumter County. And then basically we clear out from there. So actually outdoors right now, right? We're still in the upper 80s, nearing 90. However, when you factor in all of that humid air, it already feels like the upper 90s and even low 100s. Check out the Villages this afternoon, feeling like 106, all while sitting at a temperature of 89 degrees. So that's what the humid air does to us. It really makes it feel a lot hotter. And it also makes your body react a little bit different. So when we have all this humid air and it's not dry, your body can't, when it's sweating, the sweat can't evaporate fast enough. So your body actually retains that heat a little bit longer, makes it harder for your body to cool down, which is the evaporation portion. So just keep in mind, if you work outdoors, you need to take breaks in the shade over the next several days. Or if you're going to do any yard work, do it in moderation, not during peak heating times. Take breaks, drink lots of water. Electrolytes are always a good thing too, because you lose a lot of those whenever you're out and about for a prolonged period of time. So your high temperature for today is going to be 92, but again, it's going to feel extra hot. A 70% coverage of rain for the next several days. Notice that we keep it between 60 and 70% all the way into the start of next week. So a lot of this moisture is just going to stick around. Really no big changes in the forecast. And rain chances are a little bit higher than normal, but I mean, this is Florida in the summertime, right? And highs in the low 90s is right where we should be for this time of year. Typically, our average high temperature is 91, so we'll be within a degree or so of that high temperature. And your overnight low is around 76. Our typical overnight low is about 75. So nothing too crazy in the weather department, but just be prepared with those afternoon thunderstorms, because like what we saw over the weekend, when you get 2, 3, 4 inches of rain over a period of 2 hours, it can lead to some flooding, and it can be a problem for a lot of people. People were stuck in their cars over the weekend. People even had some damages to their homes. Roads were shut down. Don't drive down a flooded road. You don't know what's underneath there. I mean, we have sinkholes here in Central Florida, so that's a big thing. Not driving down that road because you can't see what is there, and there could be hazards. There could be something that could puncture a tire, and then you end up in a flooded street with a punctured tire, and you won't be able to get out. So yeah, that's my tip of the day. That's my life hack of the day. Weather life hack. Don't drive down flooded streets.
That is a good tip. I made that mistake one time, and it was dark. I couldn't see exactly how deep the water was or how much was there. And as soon as I hit the water, I felt the car just like float that ever little bit, and just threw it in reverse and backed out of there. It was a dumb move on my part, and I don't recommend anyone attempts it.
So what did we learn?
A valuable lesson.
How true is this statement then? I mean,
yes.
You had personal experience, and it can be scary, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Especially at night.
Especially at night?
Yeah, no. And in my tiny little Nissan, it was not a good call. I don't recommend it to anyone. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us, and we're going to keep an eye on everything out there in the tropics. Hopefully none of it comes our way, but we will be prepared any which way. All thanks to you and the rest of the Pinpoint
As of right now, no threats to Central Florida, and that's exactly how we like it. So knock on wood somewhere, a particle board, if that's what these desks are made out of.
Laminated particle board.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Samara. Thanks for bailing me out again on the weather front. I appreciate it.
Anytime. It's a pleasure.
I'm going to hold you to that. Thank you.
Oh,
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.